Welcome to Inside the Studio. I'm Evan Sanford. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We've got a wonderful show for you. My special guest is composer and guitarist Kevin Eubanks. He spent 18 years as the music director for Jay Leno's Tonight Show, and he has taught several master guitar classes here at the University of Redlands. Kevin will be receiving an honorary doctorate degree from the university, as well as being the guest speaker at Commencement this spring. Welcome to the program, Kevin. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, man. It's a good day to come, man.
Well, let's start at the beginning. What sparked your interest in music?
Well, environment, probably. You know, my whole family is musicians, and I've been hearing music, people practicing and performing and playing music since I could remember. Plus, I mean, kids just love music. So I think every kid just reacts to music, and I was no different. I just love music, and it just seemed like a lot of fun, and it was just natural for me because my mother and my uncles, everybody played music, you know, professionally, and so I was just I had no choice. It was in me before I even had a choice. It was already there, so I was kind of lucky that way.
Was it always the guitar? Was it something else before?
No, I started on violin. I wanted to be a concert violinist, and my parents said, "You're going to quit violin. You're not going to stick with violin." I said, No, I'm going to play violin. I'm going to play violin. Well, 7 years later, I quit violin, and I started playing guitar. For a couple of years, I played both, and that's one of my musical regrets, was stopping playing violin. I should have played violin, at least attempted to play violin and guitar together, because I still love violin music. I still practice a lot of violin music on guitar to help with technique and things like that. And my mom always said I should have been a piano player. So as you can see, it was just music all over the place. And my brothers play, and you know. So now we're looking for somebody to be, you know, a doctor or, you know, something like that. No more music. We got enough music. So, but it's one of those things that you kind of finds you. Mm-hmm. And then it helps you find yourself when you deal with something like the arts. And arts could be in any profession. People always think that artists are, you know, either you're playing music or a painter or a sculptor or a writer or something like that. But I think art really comes from the way you relate to things. The artistic part of life is in everybody and in everything too. The way plants grow, the way the sun comes up here and the plant just kind of leans that way. It's beautiful. You know, if you could write music that way, that it just naturally flows that way, it kind of touches people in a different way. So I think musicians are just one of the other, you know, organic things on a planet that vibrate like everything else. I mean, you know, how can, you know, when it rains and it's all cloudy and everything, and all of a sudden everybody's running from the rain and covering up and everything, and then a rainbow comes out. Who thought of this? I mean, you know, how more artistic can you get? You know what I mean? After all a thunderstorm and everything, and here comes this beautiful rainbow out of nowhere, out of the sky, something like that, you know. So we're just another example of that. I don't think there's anything more beautiful than a rainbow after the rain. It's like, man, who thought of that? You know, if you could turn that into a painting, so wow, it's a beautiful painter, and they are. But this wasn't looking for a career. It just kind of naturally happens, and you know, to stick a little seed in the ground and boom, the whole tree comes up. I mean, who thinks of these kind of things, you know? But we're products of that same, you know, origin. So everybody in this room is an artist. You cannot help it because you're born into it. It's part of who you are. So sometimes you get to be on that path, you know, when you have to, you know, of course we all have to work and do our thing for society and all that. But if you can follow that lane, follow that line of creativity, you can find it anywhere. I mean, I would love a lawyer that understands their own artistry, you know. I would like a politician that understands their own, you know, or judge or doctor, because they'll bring compassion to their job. It won't just be a bottom line. It just won't be this is right or this is wrong, this is right or this is left. If you don't have art in what you do, you won't have compassion in what you do. and then a lot of other things can happen.
Well, that's a very positive outlook on life. I'm going to try and adopt that as much as I can. That was really beautiful. Was there ever a moment where you thought of changing your career, or was it always this kind of organic path that you're talking about?
No, if I wasn't a musician, I'd be a writer. I think writer of novels and things like that, and I'd like to interview people too. Ta-da! And
after the break, we'll switch, and there we go.
I would love to.
Okay.
I think people are fascinating, really. But everything would be from a point of view of, from a creative point of view. I think when we stop seeing things that way is when we perhaps run into problems. That we think we create everything, and I think we got it kind of turned around. The thing that created us is maybe what we could be a little more concerned about instead of, because we love to pat ourselves on the back. Oh, look at the wonderful things we made, and I always joke about, I love the Olympics, I love sports and everything, and God, he ran the 100 meters in, so fast, fastest man in the world, And you get a cheetah that wakes up in the morning, stretches, no trainer, no regiment, no nothing, and runs 70 miles an hour just to catch a rabbit. And birds are flying over, and we had to high jump, and we got birds just flying, without a GPS, go the same place every time, and they're just laughing. Look at these guys are getting medals, and we're just flying over oceans, So everything has this beautiful thing to it, and we try to say that it's ours, but really we're emulating everything else that's around us. Music is no exception. If you're in Hawaii and you hear a thunderstorm and you hear the coastline were to crash into the break there, big rock on it, it just sounds like a wonderful orchestra just building up, and then the crash and the kettle drums and the cymbals, and then we do it. And we say, oh, we wrote this, and we did. We put it in this collection of music, but it's all coming from somewhere else, long before we ever existed. Even Jimi Hendrix, he got a lot of his feedback, a lot of the things that changed rock and roll, changed a lot of things, changed rock music in Europe, changed Led Zeppelin, changed everything, changed the Stones, changed a lot of stuff, because he was a paratrooper. And when he was jumping out of airplanes, the big howling sounds when you open the door to jump out, he wanted to recreate that on stage. That's where he got a lot of his inspiration for having feedback and craziness and the extremity of jumping out of a plane, which I would love to do. I like bungee jumping, but I never got to jump out of a plane yet. But it just would be like such a wonderful experience. So a lot of things that we want to take ownership of is really us emulating everything around us, because we're all connected in some way.
Tell me about the journey and how you ended up as music director for The Tonight Show.
Oh, that's the quick version is that Jay said, how do you feel like directing the band?
that is the quick answer, isn't it?
I was in the band, and I wasn't the band leader at first. And then Jay and I started really getting along really well, and I was writing a lot of music for the show anyway. And he said, well, how do you feel about being a music director? And it just turned out that way. Jay and I got along, and the music was fun, and we just started doing it. And he said, well, let's do it for a while and see what happens. And the long story is, since I was a kid, I always wanted to play music, and I just wanted to get better and better and better at it. And I like traveling. So I think that's something Jay and I had in common, because he was always traveling, doing stand-up and everything. And we just we were kind of road dogs, Speaking of dog, hey dog. So we kind of just got along really good, and it was a good fit. Sometimes it's really simple. But the other thing is all the work that you put in, like all the work he's put in. How many stages has he played on? How many stages have I been on? and you practice, you do all the work, you study, and all that. And you know, I always tell when people ask me that, and if I'm teaching or something, they say, "Well, how do you do this? How do you do that?" And you say, "You do your best." That's it. You just do your best. And if you have the right energy and you're in the right place, you won't ever stop doing your best. And how do you do it? You do it the best you can, whatever it is. And then in doing that, you learn about yourself. You learn about what it is that you're interested in, or better yet, if you're passionate about it. And then something will come along that you never even thought of, but somehow you're prepared for it. You're ready for it, and you don't know how. I didn't go to late night band leader school or something.
Is there such
like
a thing?
That. I hope not. I'd like to audit that class. But a lot of things we're not prepared for. We didn't. Well, I wouldn't say we're not prepared for it. That we're not deliberately preparing for this specific thing that comes your way, but your dedication to what it is that you are trying to prepare for just automatically prepares you for a litany of things that you never thought would happen. And somehow it looks like you're changing direction, but your energy is not. Me stopping violin, which completely angered my mother and father. It was like, "Oh man, you can't quit, not now," and we're just finally getting used to that out-of-tune violin, and now you want to stop. So I'll say, well, I'm not quitting music. I'm just quitting that instrument. I'm just going to another instrument. So all the things that I've learned playing violin, I'm just taking it into playing guitar. So they said, "Wow, you learn a guitar real fast." I said, "Well, that's because I started playing violin for a long time, and well, not that long, but when you're a kid, it's a long time." And so that made playing guitar happen, perceived to happen a lot faster, but you still got to put in all those hours to do it.
Well, stick around. We'll be right back with more Inside the Studio right after this. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the program. We're here with composer and guitarist Kevin Eubanks, who's going to be awarded an honorary doctorate degree in music from the University of Redlands. So this will be your second honorary doctorate, right?
All right.
One from your alma mater,
Right.
Berklee College of Music.
Right.
What kind of implications does this have for you, your second honorary doctorate?
Makes my parents very happy. They love it. They go, "Woo!" And that's been my whole, one of the things that has inspired me is just wanting my parents to be proud of me. And also, of course, it feels wonderful to be acknowledged by, schools and wonderful schools that are dedicated to teaching, that they honor you like that. So it really makes me feel, it's hard to put into words, that people will honor you like that. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's hard to put into words. It just makes you feel like, yeah, I did something right. And it's influenced people, hopefully in a positive way. And just to be acknowledged on that level in academia, I think is, people can brush it off and everything, but I'm excited about it.
As anyone would be.
I'm excited.
Are there any projects you're currently working on?
Oh, yeah. A few projects. I have another recording coming out April of this year. And along with that, I'm putting a book together, basically of interviews, as a matter of fact, or conversations more. And I'm being encouraged to do that by some wonderful people like Richard Warman and some other folks that I'm trying to do a production company that will bring people from different genres of work and show how artistry is a thread that runs through everything, instead of just with musicians or just with artists or writers, but people that, you know, where's their artistry when, you know, with a computer scientist? Then, and what do you see when you do that? And when you're writing code, I mean, how does your brain work during that? And, you know, I just want to connect these, and I know people in these different fields, and we all have something in common. So I want to bring that together in a project which I haven't formulated yet, because I'm still going to different places with people, different conferences, different traveling places to, I'm still doing research, put it like that, before that happens. So there's and then there's always, have to practice, you know, guitar, because I always want to, I feel like I need to, I don't know, get to another creative level with it, which is more of, I don't know, playing the guitar is kind of after the fact. It's more like developing a certain clarity or awareness, and then and hopefully it comes out on the guitar, because we're all creatures of habit, or so we're told, and so you start playing something and it works for you, so you keep doing it again. But basically what you're doing is shutting down, and so you're not really creating. You're kind of just reciting what you already have. So I want to go kind of past that level of that and get into something else. So that what I just said will probably take about 15 years to do, but it's not really getting to the end of it. You know, the whole cliche. It's the journey, not the not where you wind up, and it's probably true.
What do you enjoy most? Composing or teaching, mentoring?
Wow, that's an excellent question. I think you ever see a show on HBO called The Get Down Brothers?
I haven't. No.
You should check it out.
Okay.
And it reminds me of when I was a kid, when all we wanted to do was get together with all our best friends and play in a band. I mean, we played weddings, we played everything. We played in my parents' basement, and we broke windows with the guitar, turning it and doing. We destroyed basements by accident, you know, just trying to carry a big Ampeg amp down the steps and dropping it, and then it falls in the. But we had a blast. We had so much fun because we didn't know what we were doing, but we all were a community. We all really, we were all best friends. We all went to the same schools or various schools, but we all, and the kind of camaraderie that was in that, in the neighborhoods that I grew up in, was the most fun ever. And we were all best friends. We all played music. I mean, whether the kind of music didn't matter, but it was so important that, because we had a local band. And I remember saying, oh man, I'm getting old enough to go to college. Should I stay in Philadelphia or should I go to college? I mean, it was that heavy that, I felt like, oh, we should just stay and make it as a band, and not go to college. That's how intense it was. I mean, you're a kid, you've just been doing that, your whole, 17-year-old life. And that was and it wasn't until I got to New York when I started, playing in groups in New York, and I saw people in the bands arguing that shocked me. I said, you're angry at each other. I mean, we're in a band. We're like a club, man. We're supposed to be looking out for each other. What do you can't, I mean, we might have, oh, you're rushing a beat or you're doing this, but you can't be angry at somebody in your band. We're kind of like family now, but it's not that way in a lot of, that's the way I grew up. And then that started making me think about, I had to grow up a little bit, or maybe that's not the right phrase. I had to understand a little bit more. Is every doctor into healing, or is every musician into creating, or why do people do the things they do? am I doing this for money, or am I doing this for the beauty of it, or am I doing this for that? Or we're supposed to be best friends. We're in a band. We're playing music together. How could, the doctor wanted to buy a new house? Is that why he's a doctor? And he's operating on my sister, on me or something. Why do people do the things they do? And then it kind of was like a crushing blow to me that, things weren't as innocent as I thought they were when I was a kid. So I think the thing that I enjoyed the most was that kind of, I don't know, man, we're hobbits and we're going to get the ring, man. Doesn't matter, we're going. We don't know, we might get separated, but we're never putting each other down. We're doing this together. And when that happens, now you got a band. Now things can happen in a way that can't happen in any other way because we're together. We love each other. We love what we're doing. We're after the same thing. And as I grew up, that just slowly dispersed. And every now and then I'll play with a group of guys that some of that's there, and find another musician that, we really, I get that feeling it's magical, I think that's what I enjoy the most.
Well, finally, moving on to commencement, you're going to be the speaker. Mm-hmm. If you haven't already given us enough life advice today, what advice?
That was not my intention. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. I'm just talking.
We're so much better for it. But what my question would be is what advice or what do you want students to take out of that speech in April?
It'll be addressing, it's graduation. Everybody did their work in, and the parents, everybody's, it's a great day, and congratulations even ahead of time to all the students. It's a wonderful thing. And the university when you think of a society where these people's job are to help you learn, to teach you, and that's a great thing. That's a great opportunity, which in some areas are dying. You don't get teachers, you don't get books, you don't get people that care. So that's, don't take it for granted that you're graduating from a college, because that means behind the letters, behind the words are people that care. Whatever you do, you're dealing with the character and the person that's next to you, whatever their job is. Even if they're a bus driver, the character of that person is going to help you get there safely. So don't take what just happened for granted. And if you can't help elevate the world, it ain't going to happen. You have a responsibility whether you like it or not. You can solve problems or live with problems. And a lot of the problems that need to be solved can only be solved with passion. And if you can't find the passion, that streamline of passion that's in you, then we are going to have more and more problems because the population levels are going to get higher and higher. The climate, I can't believe people are still arguing whether it's this, that, and the other, but I don't want to go there because it turns into something else that is also, digressing, I think. But the only thing that's going to weather the storm of all of this stuff is if you find your passion and you have enough courage to follow that passion, whether it's against, oh, well, I can make $80 an hour if I do this. But if I do this, I don't know what's going to happen. But everything in my body is saying, when I do this, I sleep better, I learn better, everything feels right about this. And that's the time you make your decision. And it's going to affect your life, the people around you, all of that. And you might affect other people that give them courage to do that and to do that and to do that. Because there's a lot of things coming that only you all are going to be able to change. We can't do it. We created a lot of it. We dumped all of this crap on you, And if you can't find your own way, if you're not motivated to self-knowledge, you're just going to do what we did before you, and we're back to habits again. And am I playing the same lick over and over again, or am I creating something new? If the students don't do that, and I don't even like calling people students, if younger people don't do this, it's not going to happen. So I'm a fan of younger people because you're really all we've got. If you don't do it, it's just not going to happen, you know. And a lot of us should apologize for leaving you in such a way that you have to figure all of this stuff out. So, everybody's on their things, they're looking at this, and they're playing video games, and everybody's got earbuds in, and they're walking across the street, they're getting hit by cars, they can't put their phones down. I said, well, they didn't make them. We made them, you know. We gave you this toy that you cannot resist. I mean, come on. The call it a phone is kind of misleading. I mean, you're walking around with a computer in your pocket. You can call, you know, all over the world, pictures, everything, and blah, blah. You can make money in the technology of it and everything. And you say, well, of course we can't put it down. Who could put that down? I mean, it's like Disneyland in there, you know. So we can't blame you for using it when we made it. I wouldn't know the first way how to make it, but people in certain generations that came before you did that. So you have to get past the candy store and get to the nutrition part of life, and it's hard to get there with all of this distraction. But if you all don't do it, that's it. You know, you guys are. You're not the problem. You're the solution.
Well, thank you very much for being here. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure.
That's all the time we have for the program today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Evan Sanford, and this is Inside the Studio. See you soon.